Salutations, friends and gamers of all stripes. My name is GM Dave. I am Norman behind the screen, and I want to start with a little anecdote today. But before I start with that little anecdote, as much as I want to start with it, I figure I'll fill you in on a couple things first. It's only 3 minutes after 5 in the morning that I'm recording this right now. For those who may or may not recall, I posted a video a couple of days ago on my channel stating that my Pathfinder 2 stuff was going to come later than expected. I was actually supposed to originally run the first session. Well, originally we were going to run the first session of the Pathfinder 2 playtests, a group I joined, and unfortunately, the guy who was going to be GMing it, his work schedule shifted, so he had to work today. So they worked out a different thing. I guess they're going to run a one-shot instead, which I was originally going to join in, but unfortunately I had to bow out of that for a very good reason. My friend Jimmy, who, I've known him since the 4th grade. I've known him since I was 8 years old. No, 7 years old, actually. I keep forgetting that. Because of the date I was born, I actually hit 4th grade 7 instead of 8. I was one of those kids who was lucky, I guess you could say lucky enough to hit those grades a little bit earlier because of my birth date. I've known him since I was 7. I'm heading back up to Idlewild now in order to pick him up and take him to LAX because his dad, unfortunately, was in a really severe motorcycle accident. His dad lives out in Texas. And he's in critical condition. Jimmy could not, they could find someone who could have given him a ride instead of me. One of his neighbors, one of his wives, for lack of a better word. I don't think they're actually married yet, but they've been living together for so long. She's essentially his wife. They have a kid together. He's adopted her son as his own. As far as I'm concerned, she's his wife. And I think actually, according to where they used to live, by common law, she might be his wife too. But that's besides the point. They could have gotten one of her friends to take him up, but given that this is his dad, he had a bad accident, he's in critical condition, he's stressed. I've known him for years. I live 2 to 2.5 hours away from him. And then LA is another 2 to 2.5 hours away from where both of us live. So I'm talking minimum 5 hours just to get to his place, or close to 5 hours to get to his place, and then to LAX. So, but I sacrificed the game because, I've known him for years. I've known him since 4th grade. He's one of my oldest friends. He's one of my dearest friends. He is brother without blood to me. As even my actual brothers are, because we're all adopted, but, that just makes it easier for me to form that stronger bond with the really good friends in my life. So yeah, I'm going up there to take him to LAX, which means I will not be starting my Pathfinder 2 analysis today because I'm not going to be playing with them today. It's, like I said, it's now at 7 after 5 for me. I would have been starting the game, at 7 a.m. today, normally, so, I'm not going to be able to join it. To everyone in the game, and doing this little one-shot, I hope it's fun, and I'm going to be picking your brains, having you guys go over my Alchemist to make sure I did it right, and to put them together correctly, so that when I make the character creation video later today, I can, I can actually get the information correct, and make sure that's, all kosher, as they say. But with that info out of the way, just again explaining why the Pathfinder 2 stuff is not coming up today, even though I promised it would. I want to get into the actual meat of today's video, because with this major event in my friend's life, which means it's a major event in my life too, as far as I'm concerned, looming over us, I want to talk about something positive. So I'm going to start it with a little anecdote. On my most recent video, it was the one about, God, which one was it? Oh, I'm sorry, it's so damn early, I'm blanking on it. The last Striving for Greatness episode I did, I am completely blanking on it right now. I'm exhausted and subsisting solely on Monster Energy right now. That's how I'm staying alive and making sure I can make this drive. Monster Energy and a Jack Link's beef stick. You know, the healthiest of breakfasts. Anyway, suffice it to say, I posted, as usual, the link to my video on all my social media accounts, and the one that I by far get the most engagement on is my Minds account, which I think is great, you know, because honestly I like Minds a hell of a lot more than Facebook. A hell of a lot more. Some of the people there get heavy-handed with the political shit, which kind of, like, I'm just kind of tired of that. But, you know, I'm also a proponent of, hey, if you don't like it, just fucking scroll on. You don't have to sit there and read it. You don't have to sit there and get all pissy and outraged because you see something you happen not to like. Be a fucking adult and scroll on. So that's what I do. Even if my page is covered with that shit, it's just like, alright, you know, we'll just keep scrolling. But one of the guys who follows me there, and even though we don't know each other very well, I'd say we've been talking enough and supporting each other enough to say, I think I can safely say that, you know, we might not be close friends, we might not be really good friends, but I think we can safely say we're friends. And Minds users may well have heard of this guy. He has a decent presence on the site. And on the site, he is known as Aragmar. He also has a pen name because this man is an author, and a good author too, from what I've read. I actually recently got his book, the first book of his sci-fi series, in the mail last Sunday. And later on today, I'm gonna sit down and really start digging into it. You know, I'd like to make a real good review of it. You know, sort of help get word about his book out there. Excuse me. And I think it'd be fun to do. So far from what I have read of his work, mostly I've read some of his short stories, and I've read the prologue for his second book to kind of get a feel and an idea for what this first book is like. Come on, guy, there was a turnout right there. You know, sorry. As soon as I can find a passing lane, I'm gonna get around this guy. It's going too slow. I'm on a hard time limit. I need to get there by 6. So I can't afford to be stuck behind someone who's driving this slow. But anyway, Aragmar, the Black Knight, as his writing pseudonym is, posted on that last Striving for Greatness video. I was buying into roleplay. That's the one it was. He posted on my Minds link for that video a small little anecdote telling me, you know, I got to play with my friends tonight and we had a great time. You know, they walked into a dangerous combat, things got real crazy, and you know what? For a moment there, it almost made me forget all of my stress and all of my trouble. And I was going to actually post a video about this the day I read that comic. I actually read this comic. Jeez. I'm just flubbing all kinds. Forgive me. It's 5:12 in the morning. Deal with it. Comment. When I saw the comment originally on Thursday, I wanted to post about it, make a video about it there and then. And I was going to. I was actually going to, because when I read it, I was right about to start my lunch. And I was driving to find a place where I could pull off the road and stop and eat, you know, during my lunch breaks. I had just finished my deliveries. there's fucking no place for me to stop in the area I'm in. I'm like looking around thinking, all right, there's got to be a turnout. Come on, there's got to be a turnout. There's no fucking turnout. I can't pull over. I can't stop, which means I can't get my mount set up in the window, and I can't put my phone to it because it's a fucking windy-ass road, much more so than the one I'm on now. And it's like, if I do so and fuck something up in the company truck and they find out the reason I did it is because I'm fucking with my phone while I'm driving, well, I'm going to get fired. Not only that, I'm probably going to have to pay a hefty fucking fine, too. So, would rather not. But anyway, it got me to thinking about something that, has crossed my mind on and off over the years. And that is the really positive impact that these games can have on people. In the wake of things like the Satanic Panic and, a lot of the negative press that these games used to receive back in the day, it's comforting to know how wrong a lot of that shit is. Occasionally, you will still get people who are a bit ignorant about it, who do think that, hey, Dungeons and Dragons and all of that, that's a devil-worshipping game, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it isn't. It plays on elements of occultism from time to time, and the fact that, you've got mythological creatures and different gods and all kinds of this crazy stuff, but it's fantasy. None of it is real. Nobody who is sane thinks any of it is real. But it can have some very real positive effects. Now, I've gone on record before, and I still fully stand by this. I don't think this opinion of mine is ever going to change. That, in my opinion, the greatest strength of tabletop role-playing games is their open-endedness. It's their ability to fit just about any kind of story that you want to tell. Even in ones that have a hard set setting, you could still tell just about any kind of story with these games. Just tool it to fit your setting. You can explore any kinds of themes you want. You can use it to be as silly or serious as you want. The greatest strength of tabletop role-playing games is that you can make these games what you want them to be. They are flexible. They are open-ended. And that flexibility and open-endedness gives them an immense potential power for good. And I want to go into a few of the reasons why I think that. I want to talk about a few of the things that in my life I have noticed that D&D has helped me. Well, not just D&D. I want to make that clear. This is not just a Dungeons and Dragons thing. This is a tabletop role-playing game as a whole thing. This is a hobby-wide thing. I want to talk about the things that this hobby helped me get better with in my life outside of it. I want to talk about some of the really good effects that it can have on people. And the first of those effects is quite simply that it helps you to build interpersonal communication skills, or it has the potential to do so. When I was younger, I was very closed off, very asocial. Now, I won't go so far as to say I was antisocial. I didn't actively avoid socializing with people for the most part, but I didn't seek it out either. I didn't really care a whole lot about having a lot of friends and all that stuff. Even as a little kid, I was pretty cognizant of the idea that it's the quality of the friends you have, not the quantity, that makes them worthwhile. Excuse me. And so I never really branched out to meet a whole lot of people. And I didn't like to talk with too many people. And because of that, I found that I was pretty bad in social situations. in a social situation with a lot of people, more often than not, I would kind of close myself off and shut down and not really, talk to anybody and just sort of keep to myself. I would oftentimes just avoid going to social functions and things like that simply because I didn't really like them. And that's still the case. I don't usually go to parties. I don't go and, to bars and hang out with a bunch of people and have drinks and do all that crap. I don't do any of that because I'm not interested in it. I don't care about it. I don't need a whole lot of social interaction to feel happy and, feel fulfilled and, sustained. It's not something I've ever needed. I am introverted. However, in my youth, I was introverted and asocial to the point that it was detrimental. I could not navigate social situations well. I could not talk to people well. I was not good with dealing with anybody really in the public. And that was a big issue, I realized, because as I got into high school, middle school, started getting a little older, it dawned on me that I can't just be this asocial guy all the time anymore. I can't do it. The world doesn't work that way. I have to be able to talk to people. I have to be able to deal with random people and deal with them well enough that I can function, because if I can't, I'm going to be completely fucked when it comes to trying to find a decent job. And sure enough, I was right. Fortunately, I didn't have to learn that firsthand. It still took me about 10 years to actually get a decent job because I got stuck in a terrible industry for a while, but that's not what this is about. Nevertheless, yes, I learned that myself secondhand, or I figured it out for myself in high school, early high school mainly. Started to become a little cognizant of it in middle school, but really figured it out in high school. So when college came around, I took an effort to get better at it, and I actually took an interpersonal communications class, which I would honestly recommend even the most open and interpersonal people. If you're going to a school that offers that, take that class. Even if it's, if it's just at a community college or something, if you find out that there's someplace offering an interpersonal communications class, take it. Not only will you probably make some really good friends there, but chances are, even if you are a very open and amenable person already, you're going to find something there that's helpful. It never hurts to improve that side of your life. But before I took that, I found myself getting better with that just by playing tabletop RPGs. As I've said in previous videos, tabletop RPGs are inherently social things. Nowadays, with the advent of the internet, it's not necessarily face-to-face social, but they are still inherently social. Every tabletop RPG is built upon the foundation of being a social game. You have to communicate directly with other people in order to play these games. At least one other person that you can communicate with directly is required. It can be minimal communication, but it has to be there. And if you start letting yourself buy into some of the more external aspects of these games, things like the role play and all of that stuff, letting yourself get into the heads of your characters, things like that, really just buying into the fun aspects these games have to offer, because these games aren't just about positive benefits that I'm talking about here. They're a hell of a lot of fun. These positive benefits are just a secondary, wonderful, fantastic thing that can happen. But, you have to be able to talk with people to play these games, at least a little bit. You have to be able and willing to come out of your shell a little bit to play a game like this. It's evidenced in the fact that the people who first start this game, even the most social among them, oftentimes they have a little bit of trouble getting into that roleplay side of things because it feels a little embarrassing. It feels a little weird. It's like, it's not something you would normally do. At least not something you would normally do in front of somebody else. That's what the thought seems to be a lot of times anyway. And so it takes a little bit to get into that. But the more you do that, the better you're going to get. And the better you get with talking with these people, well, it does have an impact on your life outside that. You start realizing that it's not as hard to talk to people as you thought. At least that's what I realized. And that made it easier for me to start opening up to people more, to start being a little more social, being more amenable with people. Even after I moved down from Idlewild in my sophomore year in high school, back down to whereabouts I live now, I found it easier moving from one high school to another to be able to just find a group of people that were relatively like-minded, make friends with them, and then, in order to help make better friends with them, I started using D&D and these games to open up and be like, hey, you guys ever tried this? Oh, no, we haven't. Would you like to? Yeah, sure. I've always been curious about that. The two core people that I played those games with in high school, my friends Doug and Mike, we're still very good friends today. Very close friends. We don't see each other nearly as much as we would like. Particularly due to the fact that, Mike and I are both very busy with our work, and Doug lives out of state. But anytime we do get the chance to get together, we pick up as if nothing was left behind. As if we were still just those guys in high school who like to play video games, play D&D, and be weebs and watch anime. So yeah, good communication, or if not necessarily good communication, improved interpersonal communication skills is one big benefit that D&D and tabletop RPGs can provide. The other one, a simple sense of catharsis. Like Aragmar said in his post, he's been dealing with a lot of stress regarding his work. I'm not going to get into that, because that's his personal business. It's not my place. But suffice it to say, there's been stress there. He's confided in me with that. I've confided in him some of the stresses I've been dealing with. We haven't known each other very long, but we talk about these things because it's a common thing. He's been telling me, hey, watching your videos and stuff, it's been fun for me. It helps me to relieve that stress and kind of gives me something to do in the downtime between writing chapters of my book, and it's nice and relaxing. And then when I go and play my games with my group and apply some of the stuff you've suggested that I didn't think about before, it's like, yeah, dude, it's great. I love it. And even in this last post he made, as he mentions right at the very end, for a moment there was times where he came very close to completely forgetting the problems he was having. He had that sense of catharsis, that sense of stress relief, because these games are fun and engaging. When you allow yourself to really buy into the game, to really cut loose and just have fun, and not let yourself be bogged down by all the shit going on, not worry about the fact that, I'm completely exhausted today, which is, with my Star Wars game that I was in, that was the biggest killer of it for me. I'd get off work, especially when we had to move it back to Wednesdays, and just through sheer bad luck, because we're at the busy season at work, and you guys have seen a good portion of these road videos that I'm doing, even if they're not rambling, roaming vlogs for the most part anymore, because really, with as much driving as I've been doing, this is the time where I have the most time to make videos. I'd love to actually sit at my computer and make most of my videos that way, with a little bit more editing and this and that, but just with as busy as it's been, I just plain don't have the time for that right now. So I gotta pick the downtime I have, use what downtime I have to make my videos when and where I can. And the driving at work is probably going to become more limited going forward because, of situations happening with our company that are causing a shift. But nevertheless, my Star Wars game, I had to at least temporarily leave it because I would be getting off work late and wouldn't be getting home from work until half an hour, 15 minutes before the game is supposed to start. And in that time, I've got to get dinner made for my wife and I and get our pets fed and all this stuff, which means that when I'm getting home so late after driving hours anyway, dealing with long drives often up to our warehouse, because the bad luck part I was talking about isn't the fact that we've been busier at work. That's a wonderful thing, actually, because it's been allowing me the chance to grab up overtime and, make a little bit more money to make ends meet. By the way, shameless shill, I do have a Patreon. If you like what I do, I would ask that you make a donation, even as little as $1. I would immensely appreciate any help. Finances have been real tight. The only reason I opened it so early into my lifespan of my channel proper, with me not having that many subscribers, is because, hey, it's a possibility, slim as it is, insanely slim as it is, there's the possibility there might be one or two people out there willing to throw a couple bucks my way, and every little bit's going to help me right now with making ends meet, because money has been tight lately with the fact that certain expenses have been hiked on us. Sorry about that, but it just sort of came up. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the catharsis. So yeah, I had to leave the Star Wars game temporarily because just the bad luck was, hey, I'm going up. We're playing on Wednesdays now, and it's just been this bad luck that every Wednesday now, I've been having to, in fact, this last Wednesday was the first Wednesday that I've been doing deliveries for the next store up north from us. I've been doing their stuff and not had to go all the way to Riverside, which is 2 hours out from that store that's already half an hour up from my store. I have to go to the Riverside warehouse to grab 1 or 2 pallets worth of stuff to bring back to my store because a customer last minute decided, oh, I need a whole crap load of this stuff today. So, just pure bad luck. 7 weeks straight, actually. For 7 weeks straight, in the end. I believe the last time I made a video going up to Riverside, I said it was 5 weeks straight. In the end, it ended up being 7 weeks straight, nearly 2 months straight. Every Wednesday, I had to go up to Riverside to get pallets from the warehouse to bring back down to my store. Great for making those road videos. Exhausting. And definitely made it difficult to get home on time. Made it difficult to have the energy to really feel decent enough to pay attention to the game, to really give the attention it deserved. It was just not a good situation. It was a really bad, unlucky situation, and at the point where it's like, dude, my being here I realized my being there started to do a little more harm than it was doing good. I was still having fun. I still really enjoyed it. But it was getting to a situation where it's like, I'm so tired and I end up having so much to do that I have to do when I get home, that it's like I'm ending up half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour late to the game every day. And some days I'm so exhausted, I'm so wiped that when I get home, I sit down for a moment to take my shoes off, and then no sooner have my shoes hit the floor than I've passed out, and then I open my eyes and it's been an hour. And so I told my GM, like, hey, dude, I got to pull out for right now. I'll be coming back at a certain point, but for the time being, I need to leave the game because I can't keep up with it at the moment. It's too much. Between all the work I've got to do, Wednesday's the day that works best for all of us. Wednesday is a day that I can do, but I've just been having this terrible luck where every Wednesday I've been having to do all this extra work, and it just keeps eating into my ability to effectively play the game. So, that thing, there's always something outside that can kill your ability to really get invested in playing the game. But if you can keep that investment up, and if you can really stick with it, and I recommend that you do, look back through my other videos. I've given tips on ways you can do that if you're having a day like those days I had where you're feeling really tired or you're just really stressed and you don't know that you can be into it. I've got tips there to help you get psyched. Go to Seth Skorkowski's channel. Check his content out because he's fantastic too. He's got tips to help you get psyched. They're fantastic tips. I use them myself. That's why I talked about them on my channel and, how I apply them to my games. They're good suggestions and they work a good portion of the time. If you can still do that buy-in and get yourself psyched to play and get into it and let yourself have that fun, even in spite of all the shit that could be happening in your life around you, you might be surprised at just how stress relieving and how cathartic those moments can be. These games can do more than just build good memories. They can do more than just establish good friendships. And I say just, but really, that's one of the biggest benefits too. You can establish really great friendships with people with these games. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that you can do that. You can have those cathartic moments in game where you can be feeling like absolute trash. You could be having a terrible day and still tell yourself, hey man, I'm having a shit day, but you know what? I got the game tonight. And hey man, no matter what has been going on, no matter what happens, I'm going to have fun today. Quoting Seth Skorkowski again, that's his tip. It's a good tip. Tell yourself that. Open yourself up to having that fun. Enjoy it, and you'll find that it's relaxing. It's cathartic. It's just so good as a stress reliever. A healthy stress reliever, too, because you're not just locking yourself off from the world. You're interacting with other people. So you can improve your interpersonal communication skills by playing these games. You can relieve stress and improve your mental health by playing these games. You can honestly just, even as a rehabilitative tool, these games are fantastic. A lot of my friends have gone into the military branches. Doug and Mike, whom I mentioned, both went into the military. Mike ended up having to leave before he could become full member of the military late into his boot camp. He went into, I believe it was the Army to become, originally he wanted to become an infantryman, but they ended up telling him he couldn't do it because of a couple medical conditions he had. So he went into training to become an artilleryman. But he ended up having to leave basic training because of an injury he sustained during it. So he got an honorable discharge because he received a leg injury that made it so that he was left with a choice. Either he could stay in, wait for the injury to heal, which would take 8 to 12 weeks, and then start the basic training over from the beginning. Or they would give him an honorable discharge and, let him leave, no marks on his record, no issues of any kind. Well, he took the discharge. My friend Doug was in the Navy, and he became a tech on, I want to say he became a tech on an aircraft carrier. I think he worked the reactor I think he was one of the reactor techs. My friend Noah, whom I've known as long as I've known Jimmy, he was in the Marines as a radio technician. All three of them have told me some variation of the same thing. Oh yeah, when I was in the military, man, oh yeah, dude, there's tons of people that play like D&D and stuff like that. It's a great way to pass the time. Lots of people used to pass the time. You know, they find it's a lot of fun, and you know, it relaxes them, and it helps them cope with like bad shit. You know, when they're dealing with some like real bad shit, or like we got a bad day, or especially like on deployment, if they're dealing with, you know, some really rough shit, a lot of guys will apparently play D&D and similar games to, you know, sort of help themselves get past some of that stuff as another way of coping and just getting their minds off things. I've heard of people using tabletop games now in prisons to help rehabilitate prisoners so that they can be better set to rejoin society, that they can redevelop some of those social communication skills, those interpersonal communication skills I was talking about. These games have an immense potential power for good. And there's a lot of people out there that I still think don't fully realize it. But I realized it. Aragmar, just a few days ago, getting to play with his friends again, and almost come so close to completely forgetting those stresses he had. He realized it then. Many other people who have used these games to improve their life have realized it. And I guess the point I'm just trying to make is that, hey, you know, these games, they can be more than games if you let them. You can use them to improve your life, to become better communicators, to reduce your stress. Hell, you can even use them to potentially explore some risky topics that you might be curious about, but you're in a situation socially where normally you can't do that. You might be frowned upon, or even, hell, in this day and age, you might even be attacked, verbally attacked, or hell, sometimes even physically attacked if the person's crazy enough by somebody. The flexibility and open-endedness of tabletop role-playing games makes them incredibly versatile, not only as tools of gaming, but tools of learning, and tools of health, tools, period. I'm sure there's plenty of other positive effects and great things you can do with these games that I haven't thought of. So what are your thoughts on this topic? Do you think that tabletop role-playing games have the power that I am ascribing to them? Do you think they can do as much good as I do? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below, especially if you have a story of this sort of thing as it relates to your life. Do you have a story about a time where maybe you were having a really bad day? You got home, you played some D&D, Pathfinder, Savage Worlds, whatever your game of choice is. Played another session of that campaign with a few friends of yours, and it just turned your day around. Or maybe you do have a situation like myself, where you were a socially awkward kid who didn't really know how to talk to people. You started playing D&D, socializing with people in that way, starting just with your friends, and then finding by chance other people who also play the game, and then playing with them and getting better at talking to people because of it. Or any other story like that. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear these things. I think it'd be great to share these kind of stories and, you know, just revel in that sense of positivity, that sense of goodness for a little bit. You know, remind ourselves that there are, you know, good things that can happen with these games, like positive benefits that exist beyond just the fun. If you liked the video, leave it a like. And if you'd like to see more of my content, do please consider subscribing and hit that bell notification icon to make sure that you've got notifications set up. I have no idea if YouTube ever fixed that issue of the notifications automatically setting it to only notify sometimes, but double check that just in case if you do use the bell notification icon. However, I would honestly recommend that you would be much better off just following me on social media if you want regular notifications. I post to all 4 of my accounts anytime I put up a video, so you can easily find updates there. Basically, within 10 minutes of a video being up, you're going to find a notification on all of my social media pages. Yeah, mentioning it again, I do have a Patreon page open. If you like my content and you would like to support me financially, you can do so through my Patreon page. Again, link for that is in the description down below. I would really appreciate it if you could, but even if you can't, I appreciate the fact that you're here watching these videos. I appreciate every comment, every like, hell, even every dislike, man. None of us are going to agree on everything. If you don't like what I've got to say, fuck it, downvote my videos. I don't mind. If you've got something that you don't think I got right, tell me in the comments. I will look at it, consider your viewpoint, and especially too, if it's a piece of information I actually got wrong, you let me know, and I'll point it out. Or I'll take a look at it and consider, making a correction. I did that myself actually with a previous video. My video on the Dervish build in 5e. First one I posted up, I got so much of the new multi-classing stuff completely wrong. I misread 2 details, and I ended up doing the build completely wrong because of it. One of the other people who watches my videos pointed it out and was like, hey dude, you got this stuff way wrong. What did I do? I removed the old video, remade it, got the information correct, put up the correction. I will completely correct information that I get wrong. So yeah, if you find something you disagree with too, let me know in the comments. Inform me about this stuff. Lastly, I want to remind you all that I am present on BitChute as well. Again, link for that in the description below. So, follow me on social media. Check out my Patreon if you would like to support me financially. I am using the fully open, pay what you feel is worth it model. So yeah, if you think my content is worth supporting financially, even if it's just as little as $1 per month, I appreciate. From the bottom of my heart, I would greatly appreciate any and every donation that you guys can give. It all helps. It all helps me to improve the channel. It all helps to, make my living situation a little easier. And eventually, if I'm able to get enough going with it, it's going to help me to make some, real tangible improvements to my setup, my recording equipment. I hope to improve all that stuff. I'm rambling a little too much. So yeah, social media links in the description below, Patreon link in the description below, BitChute link in the description below. I do recommend that anyone who's following me on YouTube also follow me on BitChute. Yeah, honestly, BitChute's a fucking great platform. And you are also, I want to note, you are going to find that some of the content that I make will be BitChute exclusive. Ever since my Darling in the Franxx video got nuked by YouTube with a false copyright, with an unfair, I should say, copyright claim from Sony Music Japan. Anything I do like that in the future is going to be exclusive to BitChute. So follow me on BitChute. YouTube is not safe for me to post that stuff anymore. BitChute is. And, alright, yeah, with that all well and done, God, we're climbing up to 45 minutes. This went way longer than I expected. But nevertheless, my name, as usual, is GM Dave. I am your man behind the screen. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for helping me to think of something positive in this, on this day where I'm feeling really down and really negative. I'm feeling this bit nostalgic right now driving up to Idlewild, but the fact that I've got to take my buddy all the way to LAX so that he can fly to to Texas for his dad, who's in critical condition right now. I mean, fuck, it's weighing heavy on me too. Not nearly as heavy as it's got to be weighing on him, but I mean, this was good for me, and I hope it was useful for you too. So as usual, friends and gamers of all stripes, it is my hope that you roll high, role play well, find some wonderfully positive experiences in your gaming, and as always, game on. Have a wonderful day.